Beautiful. Thank you so much for that welcome and introduction. I am so delighted to be here. And as Nina mentioned in that intro, I am a singer, a speaker, and a performance coach with a background in both the arts and corporate learning. And if there's one thing that I've learned from both of those worlds, it's that you can know your message inside and out, but if the nerves take over in the moment, your impact can be completely lost. So, a few months ago, I was coaching a group of presenters preparing for a high stakes tech demo on a keynote stage with an audience of about 3,000 people. They knew their message, they had practiced endlessly, they were passionate and sharp, but we ran out of time to talk about what to do when things don't go according to plan. And sure enough, during the live presentation, the setup didn't match their rehearsal. The transitions were different, the flow was off, and one of the speakers completely froze. You could feel the tension in the room as they kind of panicked trying to figure out how to get their demo up. And they did eventually recover, but the energy of the moment had completely passed. So it wasn't just awkward, it was a missed opportunity. And in a pitch setting, that kind of freeze doesn't just cost you momentum. It could mean missed funding, a confused investor, or even a hit to your own confidence. Has anyone here ever had a moment like that where the nerves took over or the tech failed and it all just kind of slipped through your fingers? I can't see every face, so if you want to like raise hand or you can put a yes in the chat. Yeah, no details needed. The truth is, whether it's a demo, a keynote, or a pitch, you don't get to control what happens in the room, but you can control how grounded and ready you are when things go sideways. So I created this space because I've been there. I've blanked on lines, I've tanked auditions and meetings with executives. I've watched brilliant clients wrestle with their voice seconds before stepping into a huge opportunity. I've been performing on stages for decades, and even now, I still get nervous before a big moment. But I've learned how to ground it, and I've taught my clients how to ground it, whether they're giving a TEDx talk, pitching to an investor, or speaking in front of thousands of people. And I've seen what happens when you build the skills to stay steady in those moments. So today, we're going to slow it down just a little bit. I'll show you how to work with your nerves, not against them. You'll anchor your body, regulate your energy, and access your full voice when it matters most so that you can show up steady, grounded, and ready to shine. And you'll leave with a customized plan to help you feel more clear and confident the next time the spotlight turns your way. So, whether you're pitching to raise capital, grow your team, or just rally support, this workshop is about helping you to stand out for all the right reasons. So, first, like to talk a little bit about purpose. I imagine that most of you already have a strong sense of purpose, or you wouldn't be building something from scratch. But even when we believe in our mission, it's easy to disconnect from it in the moments that matter most, especially under pressure. So, before we jump into the tools and tactics, I want to give you a chance to re anchor in why your next big moment really matters. And first, I just kind of want to get a sense, how many of you do feel really deeply grounded in your purpose right now? Can give like a yes or raise hand. Yes, I love seeing that. Fantastic. And maybe how many of you are still figuring it out or maybe reconnecting to it in a new season? And if you're not sure, that's okay. Figuring it out. Perfect. Yeah, either way, you're not behind. You're just human. Most of us weren't really taught how to name our purpose. We just kind of absorb the expectations around us and try to prove that we belong. But here's the thing. When you're unclear about why you're here, you'll search for external validation. When you're clear on your purpose, it becomes your compass and your litmus test. It's the why behind how you speak, what you say yes to, and how you lead the room. And when you're grounded in that, you don't have to force confidence. It happens naturally. And purpose isn't just about your business or your goals. It's about how you want to show up in your work, in your relationships, in your community, and especially in the room when the stakes are high. For me, things really shifted when I realized that my voice wasn't just for singing, it was also about helping others to own theirs more authentically. Once I named that, everything changed. I stopped trying to prove myself and started showing up with more clarity, and people noticed. I got invited to lead more. I got clearer on what I said yes to and what I walked away from. And one of my lowest burnout moments came from a job that pulled me completely out of alignment. I was expected to sell solutions that I didn't believe in, things that maybe look good on paper but didn't actually help people. And the worst part was that I had to act like I was confident in the room when every part of me felt the opposite. And that disconnect was exhausting. And that experience taught me that when you're rooted in your purpose, you don't have to sell yourself. You just show up. You lead with conviction because you actually believe in what you're saying. And that is what makes people trust you. So, we're not going to spend a ton of time here today defining your purpose. Again, I trust that if you're building a company, you already have a deep reason behind it. But under pressure, we can lose sight of that. And when we disconnect from our why, our voice wavers, our clarity starts to scatter, and we start trying to prove something rather than just speaking from it. So I actually do have a free reflection guide, and I am going to pop it in the chat here for those that want to grab it, because I know at least one person said that they were still figuring it out. But I also want to just take a moment and have you reflect. What is one contribution that you want to make right now? And what impact do you want that contribution to have? And if you're up for it, I'd love for you to drop 1 or 2 words in the chat that describe that impact that you want to have. Mine is that I help people to nurture authenticity so that they can give their best performance. That's the compass that I use to walk into any room. And if you want more support in exploring your purpose, again, feel free to download that free reflection guide. But for now, just let this anchor you. So now that we've anchored in purpose, let's talk about how that actually shows up. Because confidence doesn't live in your head, it lives in your body. And when your energy is scattered, again, your voice gets shaky. When you're grounded in breath and sensation, your voice becomes magnetic and people lean in. Your breath isn't just a calming tool, it's actually the fuel behind your presence and your voice. So you'll hear me talk a lot about finding those slow, deep, belly-filling breaths because that's where your power lives. And this is where we shift from knowing your message to embodying it. Now, I'll be real. Sometimes when people say just breathe, it feels oversimplified. We all breathe, we do it all the time. But here's what I've learned over and over again from my own high pressure moments and from the people that I coach. When your breath is shallow, your voice tightens and your presence shrinks. When your breath is slow and grounded and intentional, your voice anchors, you feel more steady, and you start to lead the room. This isn't just performance fluff. It's actually how the nervous system works. Any yoga instructor will tell you a long exhale tells your body that you're safe. And when your body believes that, your voice follows. One recent client that I had, Natalie, came to me after a string of bad interviews and bad auditions. Her self-esteem was tanked, and she felt the urgency of needing something to work out. And after just one session together, she nailed her next interview, got the job, and got cast in her dream show. And when I asked her what made the biggest difference, the first thing she said was breathing. And for me, like I said, I still get nervous, but I've trained myself to return to my breath before the moment takes over. So I want to walk you through 3 of my favorite breath resets, We're going to try each one together, and then you can pick what works best for you before your next big moment. So the first one is box breathing. We're going to inhale, hold, exhale, and hold, all for the same count of 4. And we'll try one round together. You can do this by tracing a square with your finger on a surface, or you can just close your eyes and follow the sound of my voice. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, hold, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, and 4. This is the one that I use right before a big Zoom call or right before stepping on stage, and it brings me back to center fast. The next one I use a lot with my son, but I think it's great for adults too. And I call this the hand tracing breath. So you're going to trace the outline of your hand. You're going to inhale as you trace up a finger and exhale as you trace down. So we'll do this together. I really like this one because you get to control the speed of the breath, and it gives you something really tactical and simple that is also calming, especially if your thoughts are racing. You've got something to look at, you've got something to feel while you're regulating your breath. And the third one actually came to me from a client a long time ago. I call it the attract and release breath. And it's a little bit more cerebral. So you inhale, imagining calm, confidence, or light, and you exhale, letting go of doubt or tension. You can even pair it with a different word or a color if that's helpful for you. The idea is just to inhale things that you want more of that positivity, more of that confidence, and letting go of the negativity, the doubt, and the stress. And just 2 or 3 rounds of any of these can immediately start to calm your nervous system, regain your clarity and control over the message that you want to deliver, anchor your voice into your body. You can do this in the car on the way over. You could do it backstage before a pitch or even in a bathroom stall if you need to. The thing is that your breath is always there, and it's one of the fastest ways to return to your power. So give me a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, which of these breath techniques you think that you would want to try before your next big moment. Or if you use a different one, feel free to mention that too, because I'm always collecting more. And one of my favorite ways to make the breath stick is by pairing it with visualization. So this gives you more access to the feelings that can shift how you approach a pitch or a presentation. And we're going to try a couple of these together. But first, I want you to picture yourself before a big moment. Maybe you're walking into an investor pitch or opening your laptop to present on Zoom or standing just off stage at a demo day. What feelings are coming up for you? Feel free to share, or you can just hold them for yourself. Feeling excited but anxious. Yeah, there could be a whole swirl of emotions. Even just thinking about those moments kind of creates a shift, right? And it starts sending your mind and your system into a little bit of a swirl. Now imagine that you're in a room full of people who want you to succeed. Family, friends, mentors, co-founders, colleagues, people who've seen your growth and believe in your vision. You don't need to prove anything to them. They're simply cheering you on and celebrating you. What feelings come up when you start to think of that? I know I'm asking a lot of questions back to back. We may not be able to keep up in the chat, and that's okay too. The idea is to soak in the energy of the feeling of being in that room of your supporters and your mentors and friends. That energy of being fully seen, supported, cheered for, and trusted. Because similar to imagining yourself before a stressful or high pressure moment, you can start to feel a difference in your body when you're thinking about that room. And those people can always be in the room with you. You can tap into that energy anytime you need it. Another option is picturing one person who desperately needs what your business offers, that they're in the room or the audience waiting. And when you speak, not only do your words land, but they get exactly what they needed. And in that moment, you're not even selling anything. You're just showing up in service. I don't want you to feel like you always have to perform. This is about offering because you have nothing to prove. I also created a second tool to help you design your own confident spotlight persona. I've had to step into some big energy roles like Disney villains and commanding monarchs. I'm dropping this secondary link here. And I thought about how actors build characters. We don't always get every detail. We have to choose those traits with intention. And you can choose those traits too. So I'm not talking about a mask or a performance, but this is a way to consciously step into the most grounded and powerful version of yourself, especially when the stakes are high. So you'll ask yourself questions like, how does that version of me stand? What energy do they carry? And what do they already know to be true? I love how Beyonce talks about Sasha Fierce. That version of her isn't fake, it's focused. It's a way for her to channel her presence when she needs to perform for tens of thousands of people. You don't have to be on all the time, but when the spotlight turns your way, this gives you something solid to step into. Focus, not fake, exactly. So when you layer one of those breathing tools with one of those visualizations, it actually helps to ground the confidence in your body because your nervous system is associating that energy with the calm that you feel. And that's, again, where the trust lives. That's where your presence lives. That's what helps your brilliance to come through clearly and authentically. And now let's take it one step further. So when you're walking into a high stakes moment like a pitch, a demo, or an investor meeting, you can't control what they decide, but you can control how you show up. You can choose to walk in as the most grounded, clear, and steady version of yourself. And here's what I know from both the stage and the boardroom. When you show up focused on connection, not outcome, your confidence reads differently. It's the difference between please pick me and I'm excited to share this with you. When I walk into an audition focused on trying to be perfect or trying to get cast, I tense up. But when I walk in thinking, you're going to enjoy this because I love singing it, I perform better. I have more fun. And that confidence becomes contagious. So again, think about walking in focused on service, not approval. And imagine leaving proud of how you show up regardless of the outcome. Choosing goals that are completely within your control. Yes, we want the moment to work out. We need the funding. We can't erase those needs. But also having goals in your back pocket that are all about you and how you show up will make the moment successful regardless of the things outside of your control. So now that you've got some tools to ground your breath, center your purpose, and shift your focus from what will they think to how do I want to show up, let's zoom out for a second. What do you actually do with all of that before a high stakes moment? That is where your pre-performance ritual comes in. So this is about creating a short rhythm that helps you to walk in feeling grounded, energized, and ready to shine. I'm going to share mine in a minute, but first let's explore the two missing pieces, your body and your voice. Have you ever noticed how your brain spirals when your body stays still? That's not just stress, it's actually trapped energy. I think a lot about deer in the forest. They're so calm and serene until they sense danger and then they shoot off super fast. And once that they sense that they're safe again, they actually shake out all of their muscles to settle the adrenaline and return to their state of calm. And we need to find our own way to channel that energy before it overwhelms and exhausts us. So, movement isn't just for warming up your muscles, it's also for calming your nerves, clearing your voice, and reclaiming your presence. You don't need a big ritual here, just something that brings you home to yourself. Maybe it's dancing to a hype song, some light bouncing or stretching, or standing tall in a power pose. Let your body lead the shift and give that adrenaline somewhere to go so that it works with you instead of against you. I'd love to hear if anyone has ideas to share in the chat. Like, what is one movement or physical anchor that helps you feel like you again? We're going to keep moving forward. So when it comes to the voice, you don't have to do a full vocal warm up. I generally do because my voice is used so much as my instrument. But giving your voice just a little attention, even if you're only going to be talking for 3 minutes, maybe it's doing a couple tongue twisters, maybe it's humming, maybe it's like a yawn sigh. It can actually help you to sound more grounded and articulate. Our voice is a muscle. So warming it up before you want it to sound really clear and steady can actually help you to sound more confident. Ooh, I like shaking things off and dancing. Yes. Great way to move that energy. Okay, so there's no perfect ritual here. The goal is really just to create a quick rhythm, usually less than 15 minutes, that helps you to feel calm, clear, and ready before a big moment. So I broke it down into the 4 elements that I use, but they don't have to happen in order and they definitely don't have to be rigid. Think of this as a flexible framework that you can shape to fit you and your situation. I recommend grabbing maybe a screenshot of this or just writing down the 4 phases so that you can remember for later. But the idea is to pick something that energizes your body. So again, it could be stretching, dancing, walking, bouncing, a power pose. Express with your voice to warm it up, humming, tongue twisters, just kind of practicing through maybe the first couple lines of your pitch. Something to regulate your breathing and your body, whether it's one of the breathing exercises we talked about earlier or something else. And then something to help you embody that, whether it's grounding in your purpose, picking a visualization, or stepping into that stage persona. Because when you know what helps you to regulate your energy and activate your voice, you can walk in knowing that you've got what you need. So here's what mine looks like. I do a little bit of gentle stretching, maybe a little bit of bouncing just to move that energy. I always belt a favorite song, sometimes after a few sirens or tongue twisters. Because for me, it wakes up everything, my voice, my body, and my mind. And if it's an in-person event, I usually do that part in the car on the way over. Then, before I step into the spotlight, I take 2 or 3 rounds of box breathing while I picture that room filled with my mentors, friends, and supporters cheering me on, no matter the outcome. Some days it takes me 10 minutes, some days I squeeze it into 5. But the point is, I know how to come home to myself before the spotlight hits. So, which of these elements feels like it would be the easiest for you to build into your current prep? The body, voice, breath, or visualization? All of them. I love that. I want it to feel easy, something you can do right away that's going to make a big shift in how you enter that room. So, by intentionally crafting this pre-spotlight ritual, you're actually creating an anchor that you can continue to shape as you grow. So, I use mine before every audition, keynote, interview, and big networking conversation. And even in those chaotic moments right before go time, I know how to sneak in the essentials to ground myself and show up fully. So, we covered a lot today. I feel like it went really fast, but you're walking away with a clear sense of how purpose connects to presence, tools to calm your nerves and reset your energy quickly. You have a workbook to craft your stage persona to help you embody your full voice, and your own customizable pre-spotlight ritual.